Do you want to, Bill, do you want to talk?
Yeah. Test, test. Test, test. Okay. All right, Town of Basalt, Planning and Zoning Commission, Tuesday, June 16th, 2020, at 6:07, 6:06. Are we ready to call to order? Call to order,
Okay.
please.
Bill Marin,
Yo.
Gino Rossetti. Gino, can you hear?
Here.
Eric Volzik,
Here.
Bernie Grauer,
Here.
Rob Levitt,
Here.
John Keefe,
Here.
Tracy Bennett.
Here.
All members of the P and Z are present.
All righty, we're all set. Let's approve the minutes from June 2nd, 2020. Does anyone have any changes or additions to make? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Rob, how was our grammar? Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second. All in favor via roll call vote?
Actually, we don't need to do a roll call vote anymore on these kind of items. We can just, if I can see everyone, we can just do a
Okay,
raise your hand.
Let's vote by raising your hand. All in favor?
Okay, the motion passed 7-0. And just as a clarification on that, the town council did amend the rules and regulations for our Zoom meetings, and we took out things like minutes and things like that as requiring a roll call vote if I can see everyone and the vote is unanimous. For anything that's quasi-judicial or legislative, we actually need to do a roll call vote. So when we have a land use application, we'll need to do a roll call vote. But for our minutes and stuff, as long as I can see everyone, it's unanimous. If it's not unanimous, then we have to go back and take the roll call
For a call to
vote.
order has to be a roll call,
Yes, call roll has to be roll call.
but adjournment can be just show
Yep, and
hands.
adjournment, for example, adjournment can just be a motion.
Okay. All righty, we have approved the minutes, we're at a work session.
Okay, so our work session is really to prepare for the P and Z's discussion with the town council. You guys had asked to meet with the town council as soon as possible. So we originally had that scheduled for next Tuesday, and because of the length of this agenda, it got bumped. And if it didn't get bumped previously, we got a copy of the draft agenda, and it took the council meeting to add, the last item was scheduled for 10:20. So I think you guys would have been bumped anyway. So right now, we're looking for the P and Z to meet with the council on the 14th of July. So that's the meeting we're really preparing you for. So really, this is an opportunity for you guys to talk. I mean, we had some ideas about your future work program, but one, it's the real purpose of this, I think, one, is for you guys to develop a relationship with the town council so that when your recommendations are being presented to the town council, they have a context, they know who you are. So that's a major part of it, but it's also for you guys to talk to the town council about what's important to you, and potentially what projects the P and Z would like to work on in upcoming years when staff resources and budget are available. So really, I look at this time as really an opportunity for you guys to brainstorm. James and I did kind of brainstorm ourselves about not maybe necessarily the master plan items that we thought that you guys might want to emphasize, but just future work program projects that you guys might want to work on when we're not doing development review. So with that, I'll turn it back to the chair to kind of facilitate a discussion with you, and then at appropriate time, we can kind of share some ideas that we had, but.
Okay, well, I think what we'll do is we'll go through the commission one by one. I'll call on you, state what your concerns are and what you'd like to talk about, and we'll just keep working our way through it. So do you want to start with Tracy, since you're first on my Zoom list?
I think my number one would be whatever we can do for Main Street in Old Downtown. Always keep our eye on that. So I may add something later, but I can't think of anything actually. That's my number one.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Eric, do you have any overarching concerns that you'd like to?
A couple issues popping into my head. One is, as a continuation of the discussion we had with the master planning, is this emphasis, I guess, on having a welcome mat, so to speak, for younger adults coming back to Basalt. Bill, I know that's close to your heart too, but
Yes.
How do we I mean, there's a lot of issues involved with that, but that's top of my list. And then tied together, I think, is I think we've all kind of put forward, I know council has this idea of sustainability environmental projects, but then also an idea that comes up every once in a while, but we haven't followed up with, is this Basalt as a nonprofit hub, so to speak, and what that might look like.
All right, thank you, Eric. Rob, do you have any comments you'd like to add?
I'm sorry, what exactly are you looking for here?
Just concerns about what you want to speak to council about. What are your overarching concerns about, say, that for the next 4 years, what type of issues would you like to be at the forefront?
Well, I think if you take a step back and just frame what our role is to the council, I think that might be a little vague. And I know when I was a new councilor, you didn't really know what to make of it. If you agree with P&Z, you'd cite them. If you disagree with them, you sort of disregard their, input and the old master plan. So I think that just taking a step back and defining what our role is and what the relationship's supposed to be. If the P&Z has one particular agenda and it doesn't mesh with councils, I think somehow that needs to be discussed.
All right, thank you, Rob. Bernie, do you have any overarching concerns?
Yeah, we've got a number of new council members and a new mayor. I want to make sure they're familiar with the major concerns and goals of the master plan that we just adopted, because they may have been tangentially in the process, but they may not have been plugged in closely. And, to reiterate, it seems like from our public process, what we got as three major areas to emphasize is densifying downtown and encouraging building where there is transportation and transit sites and other existing supporting businesses and services, rather than building out on the periphery. Suburban sprawl. Number two is affordable housing, which was at the top of the master plan list. What can we do to facilitate the development of affordable housing with partnerships? Mainly, I see it with for-profit and non-profit partners. And then lastly was environmental sustainability and encouragement of environmentally sensitive projects. And my own little pet hobby horse that I have brought up from time to time and never got any traction with is developing that confluence area into a lovely park and taking advantage of one of our, most unique and beautiful assets as part of that whole waterfront park area, from the Pan and Fork Park all the way up to Fisherman's, and then going on to the, with the confluence, making that a whole, series of parks that are interconnected, and I think get some important PR and recognition in the valley of what a desirable place this is and what a useful environmental feature that would be to enhance. That's it.
Thank you, Bernie. Joan?
Everyone has really valuable issues. I agree with Robert. For us with planning and zoning to be effective, we have to be heard and we have to participate, or we have to make some sort of effort, at least quarterly, to get with the council. Personally, I feel we always have to have a good look at the whole picture and have checks and balances between growth and non-growth and keep everything balanced. I think Clark's Market area, that's a big deal. As Gino's referenced many times, it is the heart of our town. And I also feel signage where we are, so we're not just Old Town. Put a mark on in the map. We've got historic, we've got a confluence of rivers. We've got some of the greatest attributes here. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Joan. Gino?
I pretty much agree with everything that has just been stated. Those are good statements. I think the only added piece that I would throw into it, I'd like to know, what does the council expect from us? I've been curious if we're just a pretty face, or we have some meat on the bones that are worth discussing before they make colossal decisions like the view corridor or so forth. Also, in that same regard, I think I would like to know what, from all of the members, including the mayor, what are their preferences? What are their priorities that they would like? And then, as a kicker to that, what are their fears?
That's good.
Thank you, Gino. Okay, let me chime in with mine. I have three main concerns for council. The first one is affordable housing. The second one is affordable housing. And the third one is, I bet you can guess where I'm going with this, affordable housing. My oldest daughter is moving to Boulder this month to start grad school. And I would really be curious to see if we can make any sort of headway to delivering affordable housing in some method other than we've done it in the past. In that 2.5 years she'll be down there.
Well, it sounds like there's a bedroom opening up in your place.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have a free guest room again, which would be nice. But I think when I'm saying these things, I think what I mean is we envisioned a bunch of tools to deliver affordable housing in the master plan. We established a framework for how that's going to be, but the actual delivery of that is sort of beyond the scope of a master plan, and so I think that's my main action item is non-standard and visionary methods of delivering, such as public-private partnerships and things like that. Some financial instruments that are not typically used, at least around here, that we could look at that don't strain the minimal and meager resources of our great community. That's my take on it. But really, mostly, I think we just need to meet them and get to know who they are, really, and see how we work. And I think, to Rob's point especially, that they sort of really understand what we do, because some of them may not. The mayor, I'm sure, does, but others may not have that great of an understanding of how the two boards interact. So that's it.
I have one question for you, or Susan, either one, probably Susan. Is this going to be another Zoom with the council, or are we going to be there?
Right now, we got bumped, Gino, I don't know if you heard that piece, but we're gonna be July 14th, and my assumption is it's gonna be Zoom unless we wanna push it back. We are really struggling. We've been having some discussions at our senior staff meetings about what does it look like if we start holding meetings together. But the problem, there's two problems. One, James and I participated in the Eagle County meeting where everyone had masks, and it's really bad. It's actually preferable, I think, to do Zoom rather than wear masks in a meeting. So if you had 17 people, we can't all fit in the council room and do social distancing. That's kind of the problem.
I'd like to make a proposal with that. Why don't we just do it with the chairs, with me and Bill, and everyone else attends on Zoom for now, until we can start filtering people in. How does that sound?
My other suggestion, I haven't floated this one by anyone, but if we pushed it to July, could we have a informal outside, you know, where we're kind of wearing masks? We have masks with us and we have masks, but there's maybe some times where we're not.
Because you can't hear people talk with a mask.
You can't hear people talk with a mask, and you can't see their facial, so if you can't hear and you can't understand what their real tone is, if they're smiling or they are looking puzzled. So I was kind of wondering, you know, we can't really eat together, but if we did something at the pavilion at Albany Park, would you guys feel comfortable or not comfortable?
Well, let's do a show of hands first of who would feel comfortable attending a socially distanced meeting at Town Hall, and then who would feel comfortable attending a get-together at Albany Park. So let's do first with Town Hall.
Both.
Town Hall.
Well, I don't care where it's at.
That's,
Here.
so it's basically everyone except Bernie and Gino.
Yep, okay, then let's do outside.
Outside, same thing outside. Oh, Bernie would go.
I didn't,
Gino.
I didn't hear.
Oh, it's the same thing as the last question, but doing it outside.
Okay. I'm good with that either.
Okay, that's, well, everyone would do that.
Okay, and then the other option was that we do a Zoom meeting, but the staff would be in here, and the chair and the mayor would be by Zoom. How do you guys feel about that? We've got one down.
I would do it, but I want everyone to be happy, so.
Yeah, I kind of got a generally.
Meet in person, but if that's how it has to happen, that's how it has to happen.
But I think if everyone is comfortable doing here, if we can social distance, then everyone except Gino and Bernie, then I think we're good with that.
Yeah, let's just talk. I think it makes a difference, okay? If we have it outside, it's a public meeting, right? I mean, it just means that other people can come and, but I think it does change the tone. I think it would be more social. If it's in here, I think it would be more presentation-y.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like the idea of doing it outside because it is more social, especially if we could start a little earlier.
Okay.
But I think we can't televise it on Grassroots if we do that.
If we do it outside, we can. It's very, very expensive, but we can do it.
Yeah. And that's,
It probably triples the cost of.
and that's kind of Ryan's call about that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe what we can do, if you guys are like, okay, we can kind of need the buy-in of the town manager and the mayor. So we kind of got the ideas where you guys are coming from, and then we'll take it to them and kind of see what they'd like to do.
Yeah,
Does
but
that work?
I think just to get to know,
Whatever.
yeah, just to get to know them, I think whatever lengths we can to do it, if we have to do it outside, it's worth it. And if it's more social, we don't need to televise, I think.
Right.
If it's just us getting to know them. But if we're gonna go over substantive issues, that's a different story.
Yeah. I mean, we could play with it a little bit and see how that works.
Yeah, but that's sort of like between
Yeah.
you and Ryan to figure
Yeah.
out. I think you understand what our parameters
Yep.
are.
Yep. I mean, if there's any preferences, of the meeting format, do you want to just go around the room and around?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't we have a show, Tracy, why don't you start with your preferences for meeting format?
Outside,
Okay.
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, outside, inside,
Outside?
all of us, as many of us want to come and do it at town hall or do it outside?
Well, I'd prefer outside, but I'll do whatever works.
Okay.
It's no skin off my back, whatever you guys figure out, but I like outside.
I feel the same way.
All right, Gino. Eric, what do you think?
Similar idea.
I feel the same way. Anything, whatever you want.
Okay. Rob, do you have any concerns about this inside, outside? What's your
I
preference?
think outside's the way to go.
Okay. Bernie, what's your preference?
The only inside meetings I would attend will be by Zoom, and I think I would be comfortable outside though.
Okay, that's good to know. And Joan, I think I have an idea of where you're coming from on this since you gesticulated so vigorously about it, but please state it. In a second, Gino.
Are we allowed to have the meeting in the library?
If we get permission from them, I can seek permission. I was thinking of what happens if we get it at the library or RMI. Those are both pretty big spaces. So the library is closed. I'm not sure if they would allow us to meet there or not. You know, the library buildings. The RMI is not totally closed. How do you guys feel about RMI?
Either or, I think that's.
Okay.
Still would rather be outside, quite
Okay.
honestly.
Okay.
Okay, Joan, you got cut off. What's your?
You're on mute, by the way, Joan.
Do we get dinner?
I might give you a meal ticket. I think Ryan Mahoney's pretty clear about not feeding people for a while, but I don't mind. I was kind of thinking of giving you guys some vouchers to use downtown. I was gonna see if I could get some extra basalt bucks. Truly, that was kind of my theory that you guys could use for, eating before the P and Z meeting.
If we did it outside, we could bring our own food.
Yeah, yes.
We
you
could
bring your
like go
own.
to BLT and get our own sandwiches. So that way, that's a way you can get meat.
Okay, did you ask Rob what, I don't think. you
Yeah, I already
did.
did. Rob,
Okay.
Rob said outside.
Outside.
Okay,
So I think we have a pretty good sense of
Okay.
where everyone stands on it.
okay,
I think outside would be much more informal
okay.
and to meet, though it would be, the question is the expense of getting it televised. But since this is if it's mostly social, I don't think getting it televised is important.
Yeah.
You know, I
Okay.
don't, but if we're gonna talk about, other than brainstorm,
Yeah, I might try to get them to come on your meeting night, okay? Because if it's on a P and Z Tuesday rather than a council Tuesday, you know, maybe there'll just be a little bit more time. You know, we won't get bumped if there's a heavy agenda or something like that. So I might try for a Tuesday, in July. In July 7th, just as raise your hand. July 7th is the Tuesday after the 4th of July. Is everybody available that day?
Yeah,
I think so.
yes.
Okay. So I'd say, like, let's try for the 7th or the 21st of July. Those are the right Tuesdays, correct?
That's the 7th is the first one, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Okay, all right.
All right, good. Do we have, are we done with the work session?
Well, maybe we should just share some thoughts. I think we're kind of done with the work session, but James and I just did some quick brainstorming about what are some P and Z projects, other than those big policy kind of issues that you guys kind of brought forward that we thought might be helpful. And just keep in mind, right now, we are really, really busy just managing the construction in Willits Town Center. We're trying to get the building permit out for Takah. They're looking for a foundation permit soon, and then their building permit. And Stedman is kind of working through their technical issues for their building permit, plus we have all the construction issues, which I hope you guys can be sensitive to. So we're actually pretty busy now, and we've gotten a lot of inquiries on properties, which I think I said before is kind of interesting, that we have a lot of tire kicking going on. But some of the projects that we thought might be coming your way, we have some things. First, let me go over some things that automatically would be coming to you that are not land use application. We have a public works manual. It's a major rehaul of what was going on before. We have some amendments to the affordable housing guidelines that really have to do with the livability standards. So in our guidelines, we have livability standards, and the Basalt Affordable Community Housing Group has been working on those, so those will be coming to you. We have promised you guys a 5G update. Remember, we were supposed to bring that back to the P&Z, and now that Aspen's done its work on the design guidelines, it's something that I think that you guys will want to weigh in on. There has been some interest in the BCC, the Basalt Commercial Center property, that's where Clark's is, on kind of taking that to the next steps. We're not actually sure what that might involve from the P&Z level, but we have advanced some additional discussions with Bruce Kimmel, who's our financial advisor, maybe about some tools that are out there. They want to proceed on what does it look like if the town gives the property where, as you remember, there's quite a bit of town property that's surrounding that BCC property. So that might be coming our way. One of the things that we kind of thought was that it might be good for us to get ahead of this tiny home, container home, RV issue. As you guys kind of acknowledge, there's a lot in the master plan about affordable housing. We're getting some interest in tiny homes, and I think it would behoove the P&Z to have a more full discussion on some of these ideas that are out there to see if it's something that you want to promote. And eventually, before it gets too far down the line, I think it's something that you want to touch base with the council. You know, there was some heartburn about the RV project, you know, the RV and the tiny home project that we reviewed at the entrance to Basalt. And so as we're kind of getting inquiries, we thought that it might help us to get a better understanding of under what circumstances you guys would be looking at. Joan, you had a question on that?
Yeah, as a realtor, I have taken a lot of courses on being a green realtor too, on what is a tiny home and what is a mobile home. And I'd be glad to shed some light on that, where the separation comes, where it does not fit into classifications. It's pretty cut and dry for based on insurance, based on zoning, based on a lot of factors.
James, did you want to add, do you think I need to add anything on that?
No, I think general, just as an idea, you know, what kind of feedback people have about the concept, and I'm probably too far away from the line to be picked up.
Come on over. And just a second, James is going to come over. Oh, okay. And another thing that maybe isn't so much fun, but it's something that we've been struggling with, is the definition of what constitutes a unit in the town code. There was quite a bit of follow-up discussion after the 710 land use application left the P and Z when it was to the council. It really had to do with what were they allowed to build and not trigger this kitchen idea, and our code really could use some improvement on that. And part of it, a little bit, is do you guys want to encourage these units that aren't quite ADUs and trigger all the fees and everything that ADUs kick in or not? But our code definitely could use some work. The other one that we're having struggle with a lot is how many unrelated folks can be in a unit. You know, just yesterday we got a complaint in a Willits neighborhood about 10 folks living in a unit, and we have a certain number of unrelated folks.
What does this say now?
3 unrelated folks, 3 unrelated. So you can't have a, you know, you can't have a.
Well, my neighbors are violating that now.
So there's some issues there. Design guidelines for downtown, just a question mark. If we did some streetscape stuff a while back, it kind of segues to what Gino and Tracy were talking about, the beautification of downtown. Our site plan review procedures, some of these things aren't so much fun, but it would, you know, make our code more user-friendly, I would say.
It's not fun, but it's good to deal with it when we have the time to deal with it.
Yes, and site plan review is a real old section of the code. You might have tasted that a little bit when we were doing in the car wash, so that I think we need some definition on that. I jumped too soon because one of the things on the family, like how many unrelated adults can live in a unit. This kind of came up with a ski company application, and we amended that particularly for the ski company. So that was kind of another segue. When the council looked at the Aspen Skiing Company application, they wanted us to look at it town-wide. Another thing is just our access control plan, and incorporating that incorporating that in our plan in a more definitive way. And so our access control plan is one of the ways that we address unincorporated area development, like in Eagle County. So when we were looking at, you know, those
subdivision.
Yep, the 10-acre PUD, Willits Bend, those are applications that came through under the county, and we had some kind of control with our access control plan. And some of this won't be so much maybe a P&Z thing, but I think you guys could help us frame the question. One of the roads that we're having trouble with right now is kind of Willits Lane. Really built under rural standards, and now it has so much traffic, so much truck traffic, bicycle traffic, a lot of development pressure. Those were the things I wanted to highlight. The other one was Picken County and Eagle County coordination. You know, when we did our discussions with the Picken County P&Z and the Eagle County P&Z, there were some pretty strong statements by this P&Z and the other P&Zs that we wanted to meet more often and develop a relationship. So that's another big issue. So
Well-
those were kind of our, not so much fun things, more technical things, but.
Well, with Pitkin County and Eagle County P&Z,
You're not in the mic right, probably.
I'm not.
Caesar, can you, yeah, there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as Eagle County and Pitkin County P&Z, we should take advantage of the summertime and do it outside. So, because it's going to be a mostly social event anyway. And so that would not be another place where, you know, it's just to kind of get on the same page with them about certain things. And then once, you know, we do that, we can kind of ratchet it up to
Yeah.
a real meeting level.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
while the weather's nice, we should do it.
yeah. So on all that kind of list, James, and the council, I mean, P&Z, do you guys want to add or have any questions of what we were kind of listing out there?
Does anybody have anything to add? Nope, I think, I'm seeing some real glazed expression. So,
I have to run, so I will be going out. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Gino.
I have to run, sorry.
Okay, thanks,
No, that's
Gino.
fine, that's fine, Gino. On that note, let's, I think we need a motion to adjourn. Does anyone want to do the motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
First, we have a second.
Who was the second?
The second was either Eric or Joni, whoever you want to do, or Tracy, too.
Who's the second?
Make it Eric.
Okay, Eric's
hand-
the second.
his hand
and
went up
Gino's
first.
Okay.
Bernie was first.
I had too many, who?
Bernie was first.
I thought Eric was first and I was second.
All right, that's good.
Whatever.
Okay, Eric is first, and Tracy's second, adjourning at 7:43. 6:43.
6:40, whatever.
Okay.
Are we adjourned? Do we don't have
Oh,
to?
you have to call- you
Do
have
we
to
have to?
call
Oh,
a
let's
vote.
call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Passes.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you all.
Ta-ta, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Right, thank you, Caesar. We're off. You're welcome.